2024 is just getting underway, and whether it's going to the gym, learning a new language, or making more money, we're all worried about keeping our New Year's resolutions. But how do we stop worrying and actually find a way to start being happy? Well, my friend Arthur Brooks is back, and he's got the answers. He's a Harvard professor, contributing writer for The Atlantic, and co-author of the new book, Build the Life You Want, which is out now. Arthur, I'm so glad you are here, because here's the thing with resolutions. Are they really a recipe for happiness? Right? Like if I'm in good shape, I'm going to be happy. If I have a boyfriend, I'm going to be happy. But there might not be happiness just because you get those things.
Yeah, you think you're going to achieve something and it's going to be great. That's called the arrival fallacy, by the way. In my business, you think if you finally get there, it's going to be great. What really brings happiness is progress. That's what brings happiness. And people are very disappointed when they actually get to their goal. And that creates a whole lot of problems with things like New Year's resolutions and losing weight and all the other things that we do.
You call envy the happiness killer, but envy is actually where we get a lot of our resolutions from.
Yeah, because we compare ourselves to others. And that's a normal thing in evolution. We live in packs, we live in tribes, and we know who's on top of whom, and we want to get better. We want to make progress, and that means we need to climb the hierarchy. But that's not the way to live. It turns out that envying other people just creates a malignancy. It creates a kind of a malign sense of what relationship we can have with others. And the way to fix that, by the way, is to not stop comparing yourself with others, but to admire other people. That's the way to do it. Find people who are more virtuous than you, who have qualities that you wish you had, and to admire them openly. That turns into a virtue, and that will bring happiness.
Why do so many resolutions fail?
They fail because we realize they were the wrong resolutions, and the costs are not as high as the benefits.
So how do we pick the right ones?
We pick the right ones by thinking about the things that really would improve our lives. Now, we think, look, if I just lost 20 pounds...
It's fair to say if I was in better shape, if I had more money, if I had a better job. Like, those are... not a bad idea.
Yeah, but if I lost 20 pounds, then I would be happier. You probably won't be happier is the thing. And along the way, you'd be hungrier for sure. But when you get there, you find that you're not as happy as you thought you were. Now, people who really pursue these things, weight loss is a perfect example of this. They get all of the pleasure that comes from seeing the scale go down day to day to day. But you know what your reward is for hitting that goal? You never get to eat what you like ever again for the rest of your life. Congratulations. That's one of the reasons that people often keep going and develop an eating disorder. That's the wrong way of thinking about things. There's really 4 kinds of goals that we really should have as a resolution. Your transcendental, your spiritual, or your philosophical life.
Love it.
Go deeper. That's number 1. Number 2, improve your relationship with your family. The mystical relationships you didn't choose, God knows you wouldn't have. In so many cases, real friends, you know I've talked about this before, real friends, not deal friends. Deepen your friendships. And turn your work into a kind of service where you really feel like you're helping other people. Faith, family, friends, and work. Those are the big 4.
Wow, I'm feeling good about my resolution this year. What happens to the human psyche when those resolutions fail? Because so many of them do. Yeah, no, what happens is that we feel worse about ourselves. Most people are actually not afraid of failure. They're afraid of their feelings if they fail. So I have really good students. You know a lot of my students. They're some of the best students I've ever met. Harvard Business School. Boy, are they ever good. And they're really afraid of failing. Some of them really never have failed before. But they're not afraid of failing. They're afraid of how they'll feel about themselves if they do fail. They're afraid of their own feelings. And this is the key way that we can manage ourselves, is learning not to be afraid of our own feelings. Do you have one? Do I have a resolution? Yeah, my resolution this year is to go much deeper in my faith. This is what I want. You're already a man of faith. But it's got to go deeper. Because, you know, it's one thing to do it. It's something else to be living it. And there are a lot of times when I go through my day and I'm pretty uncharitable. I'm not actually thinking the things that I should be thinking, I have to say. And I want to fix that. You know what I want to do? Let me Hold on. We can change our actions. Yeah. But can we change our thoughts? We can change our thoughts by changing our actions. Ooh, this is the most amazing thing. Yeah, this is the thing. See, we think that I'm going to feel a certain way if I do something, right? Or it's just the cause and effect. We often get it wrong. So, for example, I feel like I will smile more if I'm happier. It turns out that if I smile when I'm not happier, I get happier. You can run things in the other direction. So here's my resolution. You know what I do? I complain all the time. I'm a total whiner. I am an inveterate grumbler, and it bugs me and it bothers my family. And you know, this is my resolution. I'm gonna complain a lot less this year, and I'm asking people to call me out when I start complaining.
And if I do that, I feel like I'm going to have a more charitable attitude, and I'm going to be able to go deeper in my faith. And, you know, just deeper is the kind of person I want to be. That's my resolution this year.
I'm feeling good about my resolution this year is not to change my situation in life or in health or in work. It's to find happiness in the situations I'm already in.
How's it going?
So far, so good.
Yeah, what are we, 5 days in or something?
Yeah, we're only a minute in, but so far, so good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
It really helps when you're actually paying attention to it. We have this thing called the negativity bias, where I was looking at all the bad things that are going on around you. That's evolved, by the way, because, you know, noticing the bad things keeps you alive. Noticing the good things is a nice thing to have. But in modern life, look at our lives. It's so great. We live in the most progressive, upwardly mobile, charitable country in the history of the world, and we're getting 3 squares, and we have happy families, and most of us, a lot of us, it's so great. And yet we're like, yeah, the food's no good in first class on this airline. I mean, it's just craziness how ungrateful that we are. So the way to do this thing that you want to do is to actually start deciding to be more grateful as opposed to deciding to be more happy. So you need something that's more instrumental. And so to say, I'm going to look for why I'm grateful in this particular moment, and then you'll actually automatically get happier.
I love that. All right, well, I do want to talk to you about something that's not very happy.
What's that?
The college that you work at. The week Harvard is having, the president of the school leaving, just the hurricane that has now descended on your campus. What do you think of this? And how's Harvard going to get through it? It's a terribly sad moment.
Yeah, Harvard's going to get through it. I mean, it's a great university. It's been around for hundreds of years and has had hard times in the past. It will have hard times in the future.
But what do you think about all this?
The problem is that universities have become unhappy places. When you were in college, you know, college was something that, and the attitude was love and fun. And now a lot of colleges, the culture is more one of anger and sadness.
Okay, that's so interesting, because just this week when I interviewed the head of the Harvard Crimson, and I just kept thinking, it's Christmas break.
Yeah.
It's his senior year, right? When I was in that position, I was just getting ready for spring break, kind of thinking about where I was going to work, but I was filled with joy and friendship, and it's so heavy.
It's very heavy. It's very heavy. And part of that is it's got a reflection of America today. I mean, you do so much important stuff in politics. You notice that nobody's happy in politics. Nobody laughs about politics. Nobody has friendship in politics. On the contrary, and there's a reason for this. Politics in America has become a form of activism. Activism is not fun. Activism is heavy. Activism leads to anger and sadness and conflict. And when you take an activist culture into a place like academia, you get a lot of anxiety, you get a whole lot of depression, and you get a whole lot of problems like we're seeing today. So what's the solution? It's more inquiry. It's more curiosity. It's more sense of intellectual adventure. And this is one of the reasons that we need to have more of a culture of, you disagree with me? Bring it on. Come sit next to me. I want to hear it.
Do you think being a university president right now is being a wartime president, a culture war?
I think it's an opportunity. I think it's a huge opportunity. So I think, by the way, being the president of the United States...
A hard one.
It's a hard one, but those are the best, right? If you're the president of the United States, your motto should be, make America happy again. How are you going to do that? By loving your enemies and by laughing on TV and saying, I want to surround myself with people who want to make this country happier, as opposed to complaining all the time. I was complaining about my complaining. Now let me complain about everybody else who's complaining in this country. This is a culture of complaint. And when we have not enough inquiry and too much like angry activism on campuses, we get what we see today. And that's an opportunity for us to turn it around. The next president of Harvard is going to be able to do that, I think. I'm excited for it. I think bad times mean big opportunities. Look, I'm an entrepreneur. So are you.
Make America happy again. I'm ready to vote for that.
Let's
Arthur, great to see you.
Stephanie.
Happy New Year.